Buying a 7-seater SUV can often be an exercise in compromise, at least here in the Philippines. You can offer a pickup-based SUV that gives you rugged and durable performance, but then you sacrifice a little bit when it comes to creature comforts and cabin amenities. Or you can offer a crossover that gives you said creature comforts and cabin amenities, but then you lose out on that rugged go-anywhere performance. Now, there are SUVs in the market that can give you that rugged performance and a luxurious cabin, but then you'll have to pay an arm and a leg to be able to access these vehicles. But what if you can have it all in an affordable 7-seater SUV? That's exactly what the Ssangyong Rexton 4x4 aims to do. And in this video, we get to find out if it can truly give you the best of all worlds. Let's do this! Hello guys, I'm Reagan and welcome back to another car review. If you're new to my channel, I hope you hit that subscribe button and become part of the Reagan Strides family. If you're my subscriber already, thank you so much for your support by watching this video. I also hope that you give it a like. Also, special thanks to Ssangyong Philippine for giving us this awesome opportunity to review the Ssangyong Rexton 4x4. If you have any inquiries about any of the Ssangyong lineup, I'll put their contact details in my description below. Once upon a time, or around 10 years ago, Korean car brands Kia and Hyundai both leveled up their local car offerings by giving us fully loaded vehicles at an awesome value for money price. Since then, both of these car giants went on to become local mainstream brands, and unfortunately, the pricing of their flagship models also reflect the same. Luckily, Ssangyong Philippines managed to price its flagship Rexton model within shooting distance of people who want an affordable yet luxurious 7-seater SUV. This top-spec Rexton 4x4 I have here retails for 2,230,000 Philippine pesos, which pegs it squarely at the same price level as other top-spec 7-seater pickup-based SUVs. But wait till you see what you get for that kind of money. Now, the first thing that you'll notice with the Rexton is its road presence. Despite being around the same size as the Toyota Fortuner and other 7-seater pickup-based SUVs in the local market, the Rexton has that imposing stance to it that reminds me of a smaller Toyota Sequoia. The hood bulges here add a lot of muscle up front, giving an illusion as if it's a much larger SUV. The Rexton also received a mild refresh last September 2020, which now gave it this large honeycomb front grille here, and it totally complements that muscular look of this car. The top-spec variant also gets LED DRLs here that double as your turn signals, and you also have HID headlights or high-intensity discharge, and you also have LED fog lights down here at the bottom. Overall, I love how this front fascia has been put together. It has that majestic, stately feel to it that makes you feel like you're driving a much more expensive SUV than what the price would suggest. If the front fascia of the Rexton looks regal and majestic, the side profile has a little bit more of a gangsta or a mafioso look to it, depending on how well you look at it. The front and rear fenders are bulging and muscular, adding to that imposing stance of this SUV. You also get a fully loaded power folding side mirror here because you've got LED side repeaters, you've got a heated mirror, and you also have puddle lamps. Now, the Rexton also comes with a nicely integrated side stepboard here, but it makes the Rexton look a little bit lower than it actually is. The Rexton also has one of the most solid sounding doors that I've ever heard of in the 7-seater PPV SUV category. Take a listen to this thunk. Wow, that is truly solid, especially for its price point. Now, for your wheels and tires, the Rexton is equipped with signature American bling tires. These are finished in chrome, and while I'm not really fond of chrome wheels, well, you can't really be a gangster if you don't have chrome or spinner wheels. Now, these wheels are a massive 20 inches and they're wrapped in 255/50 R20 tires. Behind these 20-inch wheels, you get 4-wheel ventilated disc brakes, and for your front suspension, you've got a double wishbone setup, and your rear suspension is a multi-link rear setup. Now for your ground clearance, despite looking like it's a little bit lower than it actually is, this Rexton comes with a ground clearance of 224 millimeters, which is pretty much average for a 7-seater pickup-based SUV. The rear end of the Ssangyong Rexton is a pretty standard SUV fare. You get LED taillights here and the words Rexton in the middle, just in case the people behind you are wondering what the name is of this imposing SUV. You also have a couple of rear fog lights here for those nighttime foggy drives that you'll be doing. Now, one thing I noticed about the Rexton is the rear bumper is a bit flush into the body, which gives it a bit of that crossover vibe despite being a body-on-frame SUV. Now, pop open the power liftgate and you'll see that you have access to a large and wide opening that should help you when you're loading larger stuff into your trunk. Now, the Rexton is a 7-seater SUV, and with the third row in use, you get access to 649 liters of trunk space, which translates to a couple of overnight bags. You also have a hidden cubby here at the bottom part, which can house some of your more valuable items like laptop bags and other stuff that you don't want prying eyes to see. Now, if you need more space, you could tumble down the third row seats. And the good thing here is the third row seats fold flat into the floor, and that gives you 820 liters of trunk space. Now, what does that look like when it comes to luggage? I will show you right now. I have with me my medium-sized luggage here, and when we put it inside the trunk of the Rexton, you'll see that you have ample space for 4 medium-sized luggage right there, and the 5th one coming in here close to your lift gate. So that is what 820 liters looks like. But if you need more space than 820 liters, you could also fold the second row seats flat to the floor, and that gives you access to almost 2,000 liters of trunk space. It's large enough to accommodate an inflatable camping bed, just in case you need to sleep inside your Ssangyong Rexton. Now, Ssangyong is known for building sturdy and reliable diesel engines, and the Rexton is no different. Locally, we get a 2.2-liter turbo diesel engine that churns out 178 horses and 420 Newton meters of torque. Now, these are pretty respectable power figures, especially since the Rexton comes with a 7-speed automatic transmission that's been sourced from Mercedes-Benz. Now, those of you who are as old as I am would recall that way back in the 90s, Ssangyong and Mercedes-Benz had a technical partnership to produce the Musso and the MB100 van. Now, the Rexton benefited from the same technical partnership through its Mercedes-Benz sourced transmission. Check it out. Walk-in feature. That's pretty awesome, guys. Now, if there's one thing that I'm a little bit of a sucker for when it comes to these car features, it's a premium luxury interior. You see, you spend 100% of your time inside the car while you're driving it, so it's got to have a really nicely appointed cabin space. And in that regard, guys, wow, the Ssangyong Rexton really does a great job when it comes to the interior materials and cabin quality. I mean, my goodness. It seems that Ssangyong has taken more of an inspiration from its German technical partner when it comes to the cabin materials that's been used in this Ssangyong Rexton. It truly boggles my mind how they could give you this kind of an interior space for the price of around 2 million Philippine pesos. I mean, it's pretty awesome, and yet it's also pretty crazy. Now, let's start off with the seats, guys. The seats, as you can see, when I walked into the car, it has that power walk-in feature, which allows for an easier ingress and egress inside the driver's seat. Now, the seats are also finished in two-tone leather, and these are fabulously designed. These are brown leather with a nice gray accent here, and you've got nice brown contrast stitching as well. Now, these seats are power adjustable. You've got 8-way power adjustment in the driver's seat and 6-way power adjustment for the front passenger. The seats are also heated and ventilated, and the good thing there is that the ventilated seats, it has a 3-step feature, so you got 3 levels of ventilation, which you'd need because, man, the ventilation feature for this driver's seat, it's pretty strong. It's pretty cold, guys, so I normally just set it in the minimum setting. Now, it also has a fantastic party trick, especially for the front passenger seats. You see, the front passenger seat also has a power adjustment button, not just in the usual area where you find it there at the side of the seat, but it also has one facing the driver's side. You see here, it has buttons here to the side, which allows the driver to move the passenger seat without having to step out of the vehicle. This feature is placed here because, well, Ssangyong Rexton owners are normally bosses that sit at the back seat while they're being driven around by their company or family driver. So if the boss wants limousine levels of legroom at the back, the driver could easily give it to him because of this, well, power adjustable buttons that are found here at the side of the front passenger seat. You okay there, boss? Oh yeah. Now these are just the seats of the Ssangyong Rexton, and I could go on all day talking to you about how fabulous these seats are. I mean, these seats are something that you'd normally expect to find in a luxury European car brand and not in a Korean SUV. Now, when we move over to the steering wheel keeps up with that kind of premium luxury quality and level that you'd expect inside this Ssangyong Rexton. It's got perforated leather here, and it's got a nice smooth leather on the top and bottom part. Now when you notice the shape of the steering wheel, this is an asymmetric shape. You've got a thicker girth at the bottom half, and you've got a thinner girth at the top half. So this is pretty awesome, guys. And even if you, let's say, slap a Mercedes-Benz logo on the horn button, this steering wheel won't get lost in any Mercedes-Benz vehicle. It is that good. It also has this nice contrast brown leather stitching to add more to that opulent touch in this steering wheel. Now when you look at your instrument gauges, the instrument gauges are in an analog display, but you do have a nice colored digital display in the center. But these gauges look like the face of a luxury mechanical watch. These gauges are fantastic, guys. I mean, it really ties together with the overall elegant and opulent look of this interior cabin. Now when you go over to your infotainment system, the infotainment system is an 8-inch touchscreen display. This is pretty decent, although, well, it could use a larger screen, especially since we're seeing 10 to 12-inch examples out there in the market already. The good thing though is the infotainment system also has physical knobs and buttons for the most important controls of your infotainment system. It also has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the good thing here is, well, it is a touchscreen, so operating and navigating through your Android Auto is pretty much a cinch. One miss though of the Ssangyong Rexton is the fact that even this top spec model in the country does not come with a 360-degree view camera. Now that's a little bit of a miss, especially since this is quite a large SUV, but you still get a rear view camera in a decent resolution. At least you have that, but it would have benefited very well from a 360-degree view camera. Now, when you go over to the automatic climate control system, you've got a dual zone climate control system. But I got to say, guys, man, the design of this climate control buttons, this area, it's crazy. Wow, look at the button. The buttons are in a metallic finish, and it has this nice aluminum boundary here in a nice glossy black finish. I mean, wow. This is something that I'd expect to see in a Mercedes-Benz G-Class rather than a Ssangyong Rexton, but you get it here, and you get it at this price point of only around 2 million Philippine pesos and change. I mean, that is pretty crazy. Going down from your climate control system here, you've got your buttons for your heating and ventilated seats. These are also finished in a metal finish, and you've got some power charging ports here, a USB port and a 12-volt outlet over there, and you also have an actual cigarette lighter here, something that you normally don't see anymore in these modern cars, but the Rexton still has it, just in case the boss wants to light up a cigar at the back seat. Now you've got your shifter here that has the 7-speed automatic transmission from Mercedes-Benz, and manual mode here is a button on the side, pretty similar to what you'd find in some of the offerings from Ford. The thing is, it's not really as intuitive as, let's say, paddle shifters, but this being a rugged, rough and tumble, luxurious 7-seater SUV, I don't really see the need to go for paddle shifters in this behemoth. The plus and minus buttons on the side may not seem too intuitive at the first glance, but I tried it on the highway and it worked decently and pretty well. You also got your electronic parking brake here with an auto hold feature, and you also have your rotary knob here for your 4-wheel drive modes, your 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. A couple of cup holders finish the look, and you also have a nice leather wrap center armrest here with a nice cubby over there. Now, I'd like to take your attention, guys, to the attention to detail that Ssangyong has given to this Rexton. I mean, there are some plastic bits on the top dashboard, but that's pretty much just about it. Even the tops of your door panel are wrapped in stitched leather, and even the sides of this center tunnel here are also leather wrapped. You even have this nice faux wood finish here in your middle dashboard, and you also have a nice faux wood finish at the sides of your center tunnel. That sort of attention to detail is not something that you'd normally expect in the 2 million Philippine peso mark. Now, another thing that I noticed is that you've got some buttons here on the driver's side door panel that shows your memory presets for your power driver's seat. So this has 4 presets, so that's good enough for, let's say, 4 drivers inside one family. And the good thing here is even the speaker housing, the door handles, even the switch gear are all finished in a metallic finish. It's nice, robust, and really premium, guys. I mean, wow. The Ssangyong Rexton's cabin really just screams luxury to me. Overall, when you look at it, you've got this nice quilted diamond pattern leather on the lower dashboard. You've got the same diamond pattern on the sides of your door panel. All of the touch points are soft touch leather material. It's really, really crazy, guys. It's simply phenomenal, and I couldn't believe that we could get a cockpit like this at the 2 million Philippine peso mark. Fantastic. Oh, and I forgot to mention, guys, you also get a sunroof. They threw in even a sunroof just to complete that overall luxurious experience. If this thing had a 360-degree view camera, man, it would be a complete knockout. The Ssangyong Rexton is one of the widest mid-size SUVs in the local market, and it shows right here in the back seat. I am 5'6", guys, and as you can see, this is my driving position here. And from the looks of it, I have oodles and oodles of space here in the back seat. My knee has around 9 inches before it touches the seat back of the driver, and I have around 7 inches of headroom space before my head touches the headliner. Now, that is if I'm seated behind the driver and if I'm not the boss. But if you're the boss and you're seated right here on the other side, well, you've got that nifty power feature for the front passenger seat, and you could have limousine levels of legroom and knee room as you lounge over here at the other seat. Now, when it comes to toys, guys, the Ssangyong Rexton has a fantastic amount of toys found here at the back. You've got a couple of rear AC vents here, and you also have a USB charging port and an actual outlet, power outlet here that would need an adapter if you're not from Korea. You also have a center armrest here in the middle that has a couple of cup holders and a nice hidden cubby here for knickknacks and whatnot. The cup holders also has a nice little slot here for your smartphone, which is a thoughtful touch from Ssangyong. Because normally, yes, the boss and the passenger would normally just park their smartphone right there. Now, normally other manufacturers would throw in all the niceties and the soft touch materials in the front part of the cockpit, the cabin, and leave out the rear passengers. But that's not the case when it comes to the Rexton. The Rexton also has the nice stitched leather finish here on the tops of the door cards, and you still have that nice diamond pattern, quilted leather pattern here on your door panels. The materials that's been used at the back seat pretty much are similar to the ones found in the front, so that is pretty phenomenal, guys. Now, the only drawback with this back seat is that it doesn't slide forward, and the Rexton being a 7-seater SUV means that, well, this is fixed in place, so you got a good amount of legroom here, but we don't really know for sure what the legroom's like for the poor souls at the third row, and that's what we're gonna find out just about now. Now, to access the third row, all you need to do is tumble down the seat, and in order for you to go there, just lift it up like that, and you now have an easy access to the third row. Now, despite the fact that the second row seats don't slide forward, there is still quite a good amount of legroom that can be found here for an average Asian adult. As I mentioned, I'm 5'6", and I still got around a couple of inches of knee room before my knee would touch, well, the seat back of the second row. Headroom is also a little bit cramped, around a couple of inches as well, so I got 2 inches of knee room, 2 inches of headroom. So this is decent for an average Asian adult for short trips only. The thing is, there's a tiny window here, and because of the design of the Rexton, The windows are really tiny, so that gives a little bit of a cramped feeling here at the third row seat. This is the perfect place to torture your claustrophobic friends, especially when you're gonna go on a little bit of a longer drive. So yeah, if you're a little bit of claustrophobic, well, you better stay at the front or the second row. This place would be pretty much hell for you. And yeah, it's good for a pinch or if you're just a kid, but if you're going on a long journey, guys, this is not really a good place to stay in, despite, well, the size of the Rexton. Now, speaking of driving, guys, let's hop back to the driver's seat and I'll take this Rexton out for a spin so I can show you its on-road manners. Now, the first thing that you'll notice when you get behind the wheel of the Ssangyong Rexton is how hefty and how large it feels. Despite being just a mid-sized SUV, the Ssangyong Rexton feels like I'm piloting something a bit bigger. Something like, let's say, a Toyota Landcruiser or even a Toyota Sequoia, something like that. It may have something to do with the bulging hood that I have here. So it gives me a feeling as if I have a larger hood up there in front of me, and the fact that I also have really nice large windows and a good commanding view of the road. So it makes me feel like I'm piloting something like a large SUV rather than the mid-size SUV that the Ssangyong Rexton falls under. The advantage of that though is, well, I kind of feel like I have a lot of road presence and also have a fantastic level of visibility. So that is a pretty good thing. Now, when it comes to seat comfort, the Rexton seats are firm yet supportive. The good thing here is the driver's seat is 8-way power adjustable, so you can adjust your lumbar support, and that would be a great news for people with bum backs. Now, when it comes to suspension comfort, the Ssangyong Rexton is still a pickup-based SUV, so you couldn't really expect crossover levels of refinement. Now, having said that, guys, it is still equipped with an independent suspension system with a multi-link suspension at the rear end and a double wishbone suspension at the front. So it's a little bit more composed than some of the other pickup-based SUVs found in the local market. Having said that, guys, while we're going at parking lot speeds now, I could still feel most of the road imperfections. So it's still reminding me that it is still a full-blown SUV rather than that of a crossover. Also, I also noticed that when I took it at a little bit faster speeds, like at highway speeds, the suspension got a little bit unsettled and it felt a little bit twitchy when I was going at a faster speed. Now, when it comes to the steering feel, this is a little bit of a tricky part. You see, the Rexton steering feel is heavy at parking lot speeds. It may be due to the fact that, well, we've got really thick and wide tires, so that's why the steering wheel feels heavier than normal. The thing is, when I go up to highway speeds, the steering wheel gets lighter. I find it weird because normally when you're going up to highway speeds, then that's when your steering wheel should be heavier, so that way you'll have a little bit more control over your car as you're going at speed. But that's not the case with the Rexton. As I'm going faster, the steering input is becoming lighter. So that's a little bit of a concern for me. So yes, when you're driving at highway speeds, it would get a little bit twitchy and you'll have to be a bit more careful when you're handling the steering wheel. Now, going to this location, I was able to log in my fuel economy, and on the highway, I was able to get as much as 13 kilometers per liter. On the city though, when I arrived in some traffic areas, well, that went down to around 8 kilometers per liter, which is still pretty decent for a heavy 7-seater pickup-based SUV. This Rexton weighs at over 2,200 kilos, so the mere fact that I could get 8 in the city and 13 in the highway, that is actually pretty decent. When it comes to acceleration, the Ssangyong Rexton easily picks up speed. Despite its heavy weight and its mass, this Rexton could easily go up to highway speeds and you wouldn't even realize that you're already there. The diesel motor pulls and pulls really hard. And the good thing there is it pulls with such refinement that I didn't really expect to see in a diesel-powered vehicle. Now, it may have something to do with the NVH levels of the Ssangyong Rexton. If there's one thing that I should take note of, it's the levels of NVH that this SUV has. It's simply phenomenal, guys. I mean,
When I took delivery of this Rexton, I even had to confirm if it's really a diesel-powered SUV because I couldn't hear the diesel motor from inside the cabin. It's got a really spectacular level of NVH, one that would rival premium luxury European brands. It's pretty crazy, guys. And when I took it out to the highway, this Ssangyong Rexton didn't even have too much road noise or tire noise. These are brownie points for the Ssangyong Rexton because it would give you a truly luxurious ride inside this superbly luxurious cabin. Wow!
While the Ssangyong Rexton is practically the perfect 7-seater SUV for the Philippine market, it's a bit of a shame that it doesn't get as much brand recognition and exposure as some of the bigger car brands. Not a lot of people realize that, yes, you can have a go-anywhere 4x4 SUV with a luxurious cabin at an affordable price point. Thanks for watching.